Joining us. For those of you who didn't catch my name earlier, it's Bart Johnson. I'm with the Public Affairs Bureau, and I'm here helping out the town communications people and help get the information out that residents are needing and wanting right now. In a second, I'm going to bring forward Associate Minister Rick Fraser, Minister Doug Griffiths, and Mayor Meal. Thank you, Lachlan. My apologies, Lachlan. I'm going to bring them forward right away, and they're going to make an announcement, and then they're going to provide an update of what's going on in the community here. So I'm going to ask you to, once they make the announcement, to direct your questions to the announcement itself, and then we'll talk about the update in terms of what's happening in the community and when people can expect things to start happening. So I'll invite everybody up to the microphone now. Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to provide some important updates to the people of High River and others that are impacted by this flood. I know that the people of High River want to have more information about the situation in the community as it changes. That's why beginning today, I will be providing daily briefings at this time, 12:30, to update you on what's happening in High River. I will also be speaking directly with the residents of High River daily so that they have the same information I'm giving you. Our government realizes that having good communication and good information is essential. That's one of the reasons the Premier appointed me to this role, and I'm going to be here every day on the ground and in touch with the people of High River, helping them connect to the recovery efforts and relay their concerns directly to the government. On Monday, our Premier announced initial allocation of $1 billion that's been allocated for the first phase of emergency recovery and reconstruction. This will include support for relief centers, including helping with the costs of food, clothing, supplies, and resources, starting the rebuilding of bridges, waterways, and other critical infrastructure. Some of these dollars will also go directly to individuals and families who have been displaced and can't go home. Those who are eligible will receive a preloaded debit card with $1,250 for adults and $500 for children. Our first priority is the people of High River, whose community remains under mandatory evacuation order due to the hazards that include contaminated standing water and sinkholes. I want the residents of High River to know that the town officials are working with the RCMP and other disaster response agencies to eliminate these hazards and restore basic essential services so we can get displaced residents back in their community as soon as possible. They are finalizing a staged reentry plan for residents beginning as soon as it's safe for residents to begin the reentry. And I'm very pleased to be able to tell you that the thinking around this is in terms of days, not weeks. I'm pleased to tell you that the displaced residents of High River will be the first to receive the preloaded debit cards. People eligible for these funds were the people who were evacuated under the order from their home for a minimum of 7 days or declare the inability to return to their home for a minimum of 7 days. On reserve, Aboriginal and Métis Albertans and temporary foreign workers who have been evacuated due to flooding will be able to get the preloaded debit cards. We have mobilized rapid deployment teams to deliver debit cards to people in a staged rollout manner. Beginning tomorrow, the debit processing sites will be set up in Nanton and Vulcan. These are for High River residents only and won't be able to serve the people from other communities. Additional sites will be set up in other communities by Sunday to assist other Albertans affected by flooding. We will have the details on where that will be shortly. We're also working with the chiefs and councils of First Nations communities to determine the best way to deliver those debit cards. I want to clarify to the people of High River who have not evacuated their homes in High River yet. They are not eligible to receive these preloaded debit cards. These people will need to leave High River to become eligible. One adult can apply for the debit card for all members in a household that has been evacuated. First, they need to register with the local authorities or the Red Cross. If a displaced resident has already registered with the local authorities or Red Cross, they will not need to re-register. Residents will need some kind of identification. These include social insurance number for your spouse or partner, a photo identification such as driver's license, passport, student ID, or employee ID. Proof of household connections to show relationships with your spouse, partner, and dependents, such as a healthcare card, marriage license, birth certificate, or passport. Proof of residence that shows your main residence in an evacuation zone, such as a car registration, insurance papers, utility bills, lease or rental receipts. If you don't have these documents, you will not be turned away. You will need to fill out a declaration form at a debit processing center as part of the application process. The Vulcan, a debit card processing site, is located at the Lodge Hall at 229 Center Street. In Nanton, you'll go to the Nanton Curling Club on 21st Avenue and 18th Street. In our efforts to efficiently and effectively handle the large number of people who have been evacuated by the High River flooding, we are assigning times to households to apply for the debit card based on the last name of the applicant. People will not be able to register and or receive more than one preloaded debit card by going to more than one reception center, as the computer systems are connected and will be able to track who's received the preloaded debit cards. So here's how it works. You arrive at a preloaded debit processing site. Signage will direct you to one or two lines, one for those who have a pre-registered that have pre-registered with local authorities or Red Cross, and one for those who have not pre-registered. The individuals that have pre-registered will be routed directly to staff who will process the preloaded debit card. They must have their ID and yellow Red Cross ID form ready. Individuals who have not pre-registered will first need to register online with Red Cross. The processing site staff will be visible and accessible to help evacuees determine where they need to go. And we already know that computers are running slowly as a result of this situation, which may cause long waits. We urge the people to be patient. We will try to share details on long wait times using social media if possible, and we will try to find other ways to reach out to the community to make that happen. Thank you.
Anybody questions or it's
Questions?
Absolutely, go ahead.
So it's $12.50 per family, but you're saying the people in here have to leave. So are you essentially bribing these people to get out of town?
Absolutely not. In order to make it safe for people and to make sure that the evacuation process and the reconstruction and rebuilding, we have to have all the people out in order to make sure that we can follow the process so that it's complete and it's wholesome, rather than leaving lingering parts. There's parts of this town that are clearly unsafe. It's still under state of emergency. There's potholes. There's many invisible safety hazards outside of some of the things that we've heard mentioned, and we want to make sure that people are safe. But if they haven't left their home, they're not eligible for this at this point.
Do you believe that that amount of money is material to the people that have suffered hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage and more yet to come? Like, we're talking about basically coffee money, so when are we going to talk about the bigger issues?
So absolutely, we're going to continue to talk about those things. This is just the first phase, and you're absolutely right. The people of High River and other areas of Alberta have been drastically affected by this, and we understand that. We're empathetic to that. So we're going to do everything that we possibly can, and this is just the first part of that.
This has been announced like 2 or 3 days ago. This is announced, so is this something new?
No, this is not new. This is just the announcement, and we're pleased that we're going to be able to start those debit cards rolling out starting tomorrow for the residents of High River, being able to receive it in Nanton and Vulcan. If we have to determine that there's other places that people need to pick those up, then we'll take a look at that.
Will these debit cards eventually be made available for people who are homeless in, say, Calgary?
So again, I'm pleased to say that the mayor has done an amazing job. To be standing here less than 7 days from an event, to be at the place where we're at, and the emergency people such as the RCMP, the Canadian military, the Emergency Response Management Agency from Alberta have been done an amazing job. And like I said, we're talking about a matter of days from being able to start. We're formulating a plan to where we can let people back in, which is hopefully going to ease some of this. And the mayor's done an amazing job on that. Mayor, would you like to comment on some of that?
You didn't answer my question.
No.
I'm asking if these debit cards will be made
answer.
available to people who are homeless in cities like Calgary.
that's a sorry. I appreciate the question, but that's a bigger policy question around long-term social issues. And what we're focusing on right now is addressing the needs of people who have been evacuated from their homes and are looking for some temporary solutions so that they can cover some of those costs. And so we're focusing on that right now. I don't. It may become part of a longer-term solution. I have no idea, but we don't have enough resources right now to just make this a broad sweeping program. This is focusing on the emergency at hand.
Talk about a phased strategy to start letting people in.
every day I'm speaking to residents in many different locations. I'm on the radio, and the biggest question I hear from residents is when, and that's been the most difficult question for us on Ground Zero here to be able to provide that. We're now able to get a little closer to that answer. We're talking days, we're not talking weeks. I think as soon as we get the exact time, we'll be rolling that out as well, because this is what's causing a lot of stress and anxiety for all our residents. I understand that, and we want to get them back in as quickly as possible into the town. And we also want to do it in a safe, systematic, and orderly fashion so that we don't create chaos in our community when we do return. The main lift station is now operational. We do not have all of our lift stations operating, but the main lift station is the key lift station, and the sewage problem is now beginning to improve immensely day by day here.
Split it up in zones and start saying, okay, we're going to escort people on dry, safe roads to get these most popular people in and start integrating that way.
You asked the same question yesterday, and it's the same answer today. We cannot allow people into our community till it's safe to do so.
Still 300 people.
The exact number that I had this morning is 327.
So nobody's been allowed back in so far?
Nobody has been allowed back in legally.
Okay, so nobody's allowed to go into convenience stores, like passports or get other, buy that stuff?
Absolutely not.
And no contractors at all have been commissioned to start doing like that outside of the,
We have lots of contractors that have been brought in for different resources we've had to use for different operations on the ground.
that's all for
Public works. No homes.
Can I?
Can the minister clarify, Minister, can you clarify if people don't have the documents they need to get the debit card, what process should we use? Because you know, a lot of people had to leave without having the documents and
The declaration.
be able to get all the information you're asking for.
Yeah, absolutely. They just need to show up based on the times and that they're allotted, and that's based on an alphabetical order, based on dates. And if they show up and just sign the declaration, they'll be able to access that debit card.
For the mayor, yesterday you said at the last report you would start arresting people to force them out. Is that still on the book?
I did not say that yesterday.
RCMP?
Yeah. My understanding is the RCMP needs direction from council to do that. We do not desire to do that. We will be taking valuable resources away that we need those members to be doing other jobs rather than that one.
Are you thinking of bringing in more resources and personnel to speed up the cleanup work in houses or deep training or anything like that?
We are continuing on that process, and where we need resources, we're bringing them in as we need them.
How many people are working in town right now?
That is a difficult number for me. I don't have that number at the top of my head, but it is a lot.
I can confirm that provincially, every minister is working on the situation, not just here, but across the province. And so I know, for a specific example, Minister Horn has made requests and has actually received offers from British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba for health inspectors to help with this. We've called them out of the north. So we're calling resources into the province, and as the municipalities need them, that's where we send them.
Minister Fraser, when you said it's day, you're talking about days, not weeks. Is that? No, Gail. Yes. Does that mean this time next week there will be people back in their homes? Because that's days, not weeks.
Yeah. You know what? That's difficult to say because no one can. I'm not going to sit here and promise something based on whether the weather changes and/or we find some other hazard within the town. So, as the mayor continues his good work with the council and the other emergency service personnel, we'll rely on their timeline and their assessment of safety to make sure that it's primarily safe is the number one goal.
And the second thing, can you explain the phased in? Is it some people are going to be allowed in? Is it like by neighborhood of severity of damage, or what is it?
I think you've got the last statement you made there is the correct one. We'll be doing an organized and safe approach to the reentry. The easiest method for us to handle that, and that's part of our reentry program, is looking at the areas of the community that have had the least damage to get those people in as quickly as possible. We'll be at the front end of the reentry program.
If I could, I know that residents, and it's not just here, are frustrated. And the comment was made, can't you move people in on safe roads into safe communities? But the assessments aren't necessarily done on those roads, and the presumption that they're safe it could be false. We have to make sure that they're safe. And to try and give a timeline, we're not dealing with a situation that's step-by-step assembly. We're finding new challenges. The municipality is finding new challenges every time they turn around. A new sinkhole, I believe, popped up just 2 days ago, which wasn't known. And if we had turned people onto a road that was presumed safe and somebody drove in and was killed because they fell 20 feet into a hole, that would be irresponsible and we would get a lot of criticism. It's not just the politicians that have to make those decisions. We rely on the information from the RCMP and our firefighters and emergency responders. And when they say it's safe to go, we'll roll people in as we can, but we've got to make sure it's safe. And doing anything else would be completely irresponsible.
I've heard the town has been divided up into a number of phases, 9 or so, and rating on the best and worst. Can you say which neighborhood's the best and which was worst?
No.
We do have the town sectored out, but for different reasons. At this point in time, I'm not prepared to give residents an idea of where our safer areas are. I think most residents have access to the Town of High River website by now. Those pictures have been streaming around. I have them posted in all our evac centers as well. And just by looking at the pictures, I think most residents can make probably an accurate assessment of where they are situated. Thank you.
Associate Minister Fraser, the mayor yesterday gave a description of what he felt was the severity of the actual conditions on the ground in High River. He talked about it being a disaster, not a flood, and then he talked about all the things that aren't there. Now that you're on the ground in High River, how do you paint the picture for people who aren't here as to what you see in High River today?
Yeah, you know, I've been around this province for a while, you know, serving as an advanced care paramedic in various communities through different disasters. And I can tell you that this is a full-on disaster. This just isn't a flood, and it's affected an entire town. And you see the large amount of water behind us, but there's a large amount of water throughout the town. And you know, my assessment is it's a complete disaster.
Mr. Mayor, it seems like the community is becoming very divided in terms of people starting to see people really push to get back in. Are you disappointed with some of the reactions you're getting from some of your residents?
I actually have not found that. I know the stress level is high. I'm visiting the evac centers on a daily basis, and even though everybody's having an extremely hard time in these evacuation centers or elsewhere, the message I'm getting is very heartwarming. They're full of support for me. I've gotten lots of hugs, and I appreciate every one of them. And they're really behind not only the mayor and council, but all the folks on the ground here to get them back to their homes as quickly as possible. And that's the overwhelming response I'm getting out there.
Mayor, what specific commitments do you want to see from the federal government and from the province in terms of rebuilding the house?
Whatever it takes, I need my town of High River back to where it was before this event happened. I have got Minister Fraser behind me, who's got the marching orders from Premier Redford to make it happen.
And what about the federal government? Have you heard anything from them?
I'm sure the federal government will be step in step along with our provincial government to make that happen for us. I'm totally confident in that.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Is that it?
Cutting in? Good. No, I appreciate it.
Actually, as was announced, I think as Minister Fraser announced, we're going to be doing technical briefings, and this was one today, but we're going to do daily technical briefings tomorrow, or starting tomorrow, I guess, at 12:30, same time, and just watch for some information that we'll put out to let you know what that's going to look like and where that's going to happen. It might not necessarily be here. Okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. For those that are interested, I'll introduce Inspector Garrett Woolsey to speak on behalf of the RCMP operations as they're underway here in High River, and he'll introduce other speakers as required within the RCMP about the operations that are currently underway. Sir.
Thank you. As always with the RCMP, public safety remains job one, and that's never been any more important than in this community of High River. We are making progress We are in control of the situation, and as I said yesterday, we're getting those baby steps toward establishing a security plan and maintaining the safety of this community. And we're going to do an operational update, and an important aspect of this operation, of course, is communication with the public. So we're going to be joining in those daily news conferences that will be happening, and we're committed to providing an operational update to the public on a daily basis for as long as it takes, because the public has the right to know where we are in terms of safety of their community. The update this morning, it will be in two components. First, I will talk about the ground search in my role as the Tactical Operations Commander, and then Superintendent Frank Smart will provide you with an update as to the implementation and transition toward the security plan that we are putting in place. So first of all, with respect to the ground search, our ground search operations, as I said yesterday, are essentially complete. The bulk of our operations now consist of operations with the underwater recovery team from the RCMP in Saskatchewan. Those individuals are still continuing with their dangerous work. It is fairly slow going, as we know, and they are still clearing the 28 residences that we were unable to fully search because of the flooded state that they were in. In addition, we continue to go back over certain areas and double check them. We are still concerned that there may be fatalities, but you know, the good news in that is that there have been no further fatalities. Frankly, the first night I was here, I expected more based on my prior experiences with disasters of this nature. And it's, you know, almost nothing short of a miracle that we haven't found any more casualties at this point. So we're hoping for the very, very best moving forward. Our ground search, as we complete it, we are going over those previous areas that we haven't touched on before. We've discovered a number of residences that were overlooked in the initial search just because of the scope of the initial search, and we've completed the searches of those residences. So we're satisfied at this point that as best as humanly possible, given the conditions, that we have completed the ground search at this time. There's a couple thank yous I'd like to make just before I turn it over to Superintendent Smart. I'd like to thank first and foremost the community and citizens of High River who are showing patience, and it is very, very much appreciated. I know there's a lot of talk out there about the situation, and I've heard the word outrage used, and there may be some impatience out there, but the term outrage is perhaps just going a little bit too far. Our members have dealt with some frustrations at roadside, but we haven't seen the temperature that high at roadside as yet. And I'm hoping as it moves forward and we communicate with the public what is happening here, that everyone will continue to understand and express that patience. Other thank yous to the many, many volunteers that have assisted us in our time here, such as the local Hutterite colony that brought food to our members at roadside and to one of our bases, along with all the provincial services that have assisted us, such as Regional Resource Development, Alberta Environment, and the many, many other agencies, and I apologize to those we leave out. Thank you so much for all of them. And I'll now turn it over to Superintendent Smart for his update.
Just an update on the security plan for this community. From day one, we have had an active security plan in place. It's quite comprehensive since the disaster order was signed. We've got about approximately 200 resources dedicated to just securing the community alone. That doesn't include any of the other type of activities that are going on. Some of the things involved in the securing the area, we're talking about zone perimeter security around the outside. To use that, we have several RCMP members from throughout the province, as well as from other provinces involved in that. We're also using other specialty teams from other divisions, as well as this division in that escapade in terms of looking at quad patrols out in the zones that we can't actually access by foot, boat patrols in combination with the military, and also fish and wildlife, as well as our own assets in that regard. And we've also got divers involved in containment of the community. We have roving patrols within the community as well as a fully functioning detachment on top of the security piece that I've talked about. The security piece is it's a moving document and will be amended as need be and is worked on continually with the town and all the other agencies involved in ensuring that the community itself is safe. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the both the announcement and the questions. If there's any questions. And then following that, if I could just ask those media that are present, there's just a small technical matter, just some more information or resource that I'd just make available to you at the end. But if there's no further questions, I think we're, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Just one, 200 on the perimeter, how many total?
Yeah, it's approximately 200, not on the perimeter, but in total, that includes the perimeter.
That includes the roving patrol as well?
That's correct. Every residence had been actively searched in our search phase of this operation. So I believe that was about 4,600. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.